Hi everyone, welcome to Share Explores, where we talk about community to different experts so you don't have to.
And today's guest is Vikra, a newsletter expert and a community builder. He's helped Dr. Pal grow his newsletter from 0 to 33,000 subscribers and now works with Neat Prompts, a newsletter in the AI niche with over 100,000 subscribers. And he's built a few communities, one which we're a part of, now called the Modern Marketers, but formerly Cognition X. Vikra, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me. It's really nice to be here.
So we usually have the signature question that we ask everyone, which is
Mhm.
what do you believe is the absolute truth about community?
Truth is an interesting word because it's very subjective, right? I'd assume that what does community mean to me? For me, it has always been a group of friends. And I'm talking this like work wise also. Even if I'm building any community that is work related, modern marketers right now, which is like a bunch of marketers hanging together, there's always a fun, casual vibe to it. So, the truth of community or what a community means to me is a bunch of friends hanging out who share a similar identity, who works towards a similar broader goal with a very small specific subset of their own goals. And the most important part, they all cheer for each other. So everybody is ambitious, everybody has their own definition of success that they want to reach to. But what community does is it helps you get there faster by learning from each other, teaching each other, and just cheering from each other. So I think that's what community is to me, like supporting each other to grow and achieve their goals.
From a brand's perspective, then, community will tend to be a lot of strangers, right? So you wouldn't have that like rapport between one another. In that case, what do you think is the binding factor for a community?
In that case, it would be the shared identity. What would you recognize yourself as a whole? I'm part of this community called indie masterminds, or an evolved form of it is something called roach mafia, which is like a very closed in person, they conduct a very close in person meetup every 6 months. I never miss that. For them, the shared identity is that we are a bunch of people who don't take up full-time jobs. We are a bunch of people who work independently. We are a bunch of people who kind of believe in making money by building small tools. We are a bunch of people who mostly work solo or in a very lean team, like 5 members or less. So this is a shared identity everybody has. From a brand's perspective, now Roach Mafia is not like a brand which is trying to build something, but but their shared identity is like indie makers building tools that makes revenue with a lean team. For something like run clubs, their shared identity is people who could be preparing for a marathon. That is their shared identity. People who love running, people who are preparing for a marathon. So from a brand's perspective, it would be like what is something that would uh, that would allow a bunch of people to share a common identity, which is generally broad. It won't be like super specific, but it is broad enough to attract people and yet allow themselves to share an identity that they all feel connected with.
Okay. And do you think newsletters are also a form of community?
Not exactly. Community is community, but newsletters are good path to community. I'll explain what I mean by that. What happens in a community? Relationship building, right? A brand builds a relation with people. The community's members build a relationship with themselves. A level before that is newsletter, where basically, if I am posting on social media, I'm not really building a relationship with an audience. It's a very one way relationship. I'm pushing out content. Some people are seeing, some people are liking, some people are ignoring. Some people are just liking the content without even reading it. There is no, it is always like one way communication. On newsletters, what happens is it turns into a two-way communication where I send out an email and they respond back with an email most of the time. So sometimes, like for every 5 editions, readers respond or something like that. So it is a deeper path into building one-on-one relationships, like from one to many relationships on social media to one-on-one relationship on newsletter, and then that translates into a closed wall or a closed room. So that is how I would define a community.
So I want to talk about Dr. Pal's newsletter that you grew. You went
Yeah.
from 0 to 30K. Now, what did you do so differently to get that growth? And you cannot say consistency or putting out content every time, knowing your audience.
First thing, the boring answer is the cliches are true. Consistency will help. Posting out content online helps and all that stuff. When I started working with Dr. Pal, there was one advantage and one challenge. Dr. Pal has built this incredible trust with his audience. There's a lot of respect. I get to see like the comments, I get to see, I got access to some forms, I see like what people are saying about him, how people are reaching out to him, etc. And that was the biggest advantage. Like it is rare to have like that kind of relationship. And he has a huge social capital. Like his YouTube has like over a million subs. His Instagram, if I remember currently, had over again close to a million followers. So that was huge. Um, the challenge was most of his audience were in the age ranges of 35 to 50, who are not email first. And I'm even surprised like they're on Instagram. Like they're mostly from YouTube shorts. Uh, but yeah, that was the challenge. So in terms of growth, yes, we were using Substack, so there were a lot of like Substack also acts as a social media platform, so that gives us like new subscribers. We posted a little on Instagram. This was more like a test run. We posted on Instagram, we made Dr. Pal speak about it, say that okay, this is a newsletter, come on to the newsletter and subscribe. But these are all the generic stuff you asked me not to talk about. One thing that stood out was the positioning part. So if I have to tell you what stands out in any newsletter, it's that a social media gives you surface level context. It tells you that okay, these are like three hacks you have to follow, and you try to give value within those three hacks. But when someone subscribes to your newsletter, it is more or less more nuanced. You go from like a 30-second reel to a 300 to 500 word detailed essay-ish kind of content where you add more examples, you add more data, you add more nuances to your content. So I made the entire newsletter about access to Dr. Pal because there is a huge respect for him. People want to reach out to him. And the only way people could reach out to him at that point was, of course, like you could comment and all, but if you are part of his like his company's consulting and stuff like that, then he would appear in a few of these sessions and he would talk to his people and stuff like that. And apart from that, it was like only one way on social media. I position the newsletter as yes, you will get a lot of nuanced content, but you will also receive email with all this content and you can actually reply to this email. Then Dr. Pyle reads all his emails and he can reply to your emails. So that made people be more active with their emails, be more responsive with their emails. Like we used to get like 100 to 150 replies to each edition that we sent. That's that I think that position mattered a lot where it's like, you get content, everybody gets content, every other creator sends you content. But when you subscribe to Dr. Pal's newsletter, you actually get access to him. You actually get to send email to him, which he reads and we respond to your emails. So I think that helped, that drived a lot of growth.
What if Dr. Pal wasn't the big guy that he is? Like, let's say if you had to work with a Dr. Pal with a very smaller audience on Instagram, very small audience on YouTube Shorts, on all platforms, right?
Yeah.
What would you do to grow someone's newsletter like that?
Honestly, I would say don't start if you want to grow organically. I have a few thumb rules. The first thing is don't start if you're going to share the basic content that you'll be sharing on social media only. So all your newsletter content can be your social media content, but all your social media content can't be your newsletter. I consider much more premium than what you get on socials. In terms of growth, you either have to have like one of the two things. One is social capital, which is you have to have like great, I wouldn't call it great. Like even if you have like 10,000 followers on social media, that would be a good point to start. I usually tell to people that if you announce today on your social media, let's say LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, will you be able to get 200 subscribers today on your launch day? If you can't pull off 200 subscribers on your launch day, don't start your newsletter yet. If your entire approach to it is to be organic, get organic subscribers, don't want to spend a dollar on it, then definitely don't start a newsletter until you build some social capital first. Number two, if you have a capital, don't wait too long to be organic. So by capital, I mean just the money to invest in your newsletter. So if you're sure about your positioning, if you're sure about your own expertise of how what you've achieved and something like that, just start with paid acquisition of subscribers, because if you have the expertise already, the content will come out good. You just need to validate it with a test group first, maybe get to like your first 30 subscribers organically, or just send it out to friends, validate your content, and then just start running ads and acquire subscribers. I think one example of this was a newsletter called Pitch Club or something, if I remember correctly. I spoke to the founder. He was a CFO of a Fortune 500 company. It's like some finance related company. He was a CFO of it. And obviously, like, he must be earning well, right? So he didn't wait a lot for it. He just got started with meta ads for his newsletter, and he's got to like 26,000. And that's all you need to do if you have capital. Like, get to subscribers first. You can always like make back on it. Just have like some clarity on like where your newsletter is heading, what is the purpose it is solving for you. If you don't have like a practitioner's POV or an expert POV, so either it should be something like, okay, I'm doing this, come join me, like build this along with me kind of a journey, or it should be like, I have done this like repeatedly multiple times for multiple people, and I'm going to teach you like how to do it for yourself. If it's in between, like, you have to figure out your positioning first. So these are a few basics. If you're still adamant about like growing organically only, then take the lead magnets path. I think organically on social, there is nothing more ROI driven than creating lead magnet, creating resources that people would want to say, yes, give it to me. I'm happy to exchange my email for that.
In India, newsletters might not be as big, right? That's something someone told us at our last event, that we don't have that habit of checking our emails, right? A lot of founders today want to start a newsletter, and they want, because they want to own their own audience, but they're also afraid that somebody won't read a newsletter. Right? We've seen this happen on Substack. People follow some newsletter
Yeah.
might have 25,000 followers, but
Yeah.
maybe two likes. Nothing's really moving there. So, what's your
Yeah.
take on this? Like, do you think newsletters are big in India? Are they going to be bigger, or where we stand in that space?
It's going to take time. It won't be very soon. They are getting very big outside India, especially in Europe, especially in United States. They are very big now, but because they have like a regular email checking thing, like I think in US even like the personal things are getting, they just send email for personal things also. But here India is like a very video first platform. Most of us are on platforms like Instagram. It is going to take time. It is much easier if you're building a newsletter for a business, if you're an agency owner, if you run a SaaS, if you're a creator in educational space, then starting newsletter today uh, will give you a higher chance of success, maybe 1 to 1.5 year down the road. But starting a newsletter for something that is not too mainstream yet, like there are some niches you just can't start newsletter for, like cooking. But again, these are things very rare. Like, it has to come from a super expert who could write really well, who could write in an engaging and actionable way, because essentially newsletters are middle of the funnel. Your social media, your ads, your SEO, everything is your top of the funnel, and middle of the funnel is where you nurture your audience, you build a relationship, you say more about your product, you talk more about their problems, you solve their problems via content, you educate them, and then you talk to them about your business and you make a sale. So if you don't have that business yet, then don't start this newsletter yet. Or if you want to start this newsletter, have some vague picture of what you're going to build. Like, you can start your newsletter today, you can build that trust, and one day you can launch something and get sales from it. That's totally fine, but like, have a direction, don't just start blindly.
I want to know, do you pitch to Indian founders, number one? And number two, if you do, uh, and that hesitation of that time comes, right? That
Yeah.
waiting of that 1 year, what is something that you tell them to kind of like ease either the tension or to kind of get them to believe in the fact that it will work, it just takes some time?
um I think, do I pitch to India founders right now? No, and it has got like nothing to do with like how we are culturally, or like our messed up work-life balance or something like that. It's just that the dollar to rupee conversion that just works really well for us working from India, and also just the companies that I really like, or the network that I have, make it easy for me to connect with people outside India. But yeah, like there are some good founders here also. To convince them, I think it is very important to create expectations, to set an expectations of like how the path is going to look like for the next 6 months. I'll give you an example. I worked with this founder, and this was in my early days, and he mentioned that the brand needs to get like 100,000 subscribers in 6 months. And I got a little under pressure and I was like, okay, I will do it. Like, I should have said no, I didn't say no. In hindsight, or if someone asked me to do that today, if someone says that, can we get to 100,000 subscribers in 6 months? I would say, like, what is our baseline now? Like, how many subscribers are we getting every month? If the answer is 3,500 subscribers every month, then the next month's target would be 5,000 by optimizing different things for conversions, by increasing or doubling down what's working for us and stuff like that. And then we incrementally try to um, increase that baseline by, let's say, 20%, 30%, 50%, stuff like that. So things like this, like understanding baselines, understanding the numbers behind the newsletter game, telling that this is what your end, because newsletter subscribers won't come by themselves. Like, you have to do activities on social media. So we have to tell them that, like, look at your social media activity. Let's say you have an engaged people, not like total followers. From your 20,000 engaged people, you would convert like somewhere around 2,000 people, if, like, considering like all things on an average. So when you present like these basic math to them, I think they will also get a clear picture of like how it will look like. And most people will back off at this point, this because if it's an early stage company, they want something fast and they are not very much ready to invest something in long growth. This mostly comes like after a certain point where they are okay with the safety net. If that is the case, then they would invest in newsletters. Otherwise, if it is B2B or SaaS, people usually invest in it early. But yeah, again, tough to convince people. But the people who get it really see a good ROI.
How did you get started doing newsletters in the first place? Or how did you get introduced to the concept?
So I used to do this freelancing Saturdays somewhere in 2021, I think. Every Saturday I used to write about what I did throughout the week to get more clients, to work the way I work, my systems, etc. Every Saturday I used to do that. And I think at that point the character limit was 1,500 characters for a LinkedIn post. I think now it has changed to 3,000, but it was 1,500 at that point, and I used to take all the 1,500 characters. And I was very sure of the value of it. I know that if people would read it, people would find value in it. But because there are so many posts to scroll from and so much to choose from, uh, they usually are not paying attention to the content as much as they could, because the options are like immense. So I was thinking, like, what are the other options where I could get more attention of my of the people I want to communicate to. And then I just ran into newsletters, and I thought, okay, this is nice. I'm writing long form content, and this is nice. So yeah, I just set up on a platform called Review. There is this really old newsletter platform called Review. It is shut down now, and it was like a part of Twitter. On Twitter, on your profile, you can have like a your newsletter subscription with one button. So it's like when someone visits your profile, they can subscribe to your newsletter with one click. So I got started with that because I was active on Twitter back then. And I thought, like, if someone visits the profile, they'll start the thing. So I started from there. When I was niching down my work, and I did all kinds of work. I did like blogs. I wrote video scripts. I wrote like social media content. One thing I realized about myself is that there is this machine gun versus sniper analogy, right? Like, are you a person who can put out like 30 pieces of content in a day, or are you a person who can post like one really good content per week? So I realized I'm more of a sniper kind of a guy, and that is something I enjoy doing more. So newsletters allowed me to do that. So, and then I started thinking more in terms of the business perspective. Like, it is a retainable thing. Like, every person needs a newsletter every week. So if I get a client, it's mostly a retainer client. It's not a one time thing. And it fits with my sniper theory of like I can only write like one email a week. um, it also fits to my strength that I write long form content better than short form content. So there are multiple factors why I considered to get into newsletters. But yeah, this is what the journey was like. I just started because I was writing too long posts on social media which nobody was reading, so I thought like, what is other place where people would actually read longer posts?
Cool. We know that it's going to take a while for both community and newsletters to come to India the way it has in the West. And the journey to talk to someone or like convince a founder in the West is easier because they
Yeah,
understand the value, right? They come with the word of impact.
yeah,
Indians come with the word of ROI,
yeah.
right? So I just want to know from your like perspective, where do you see the future of both of these going? Do you think newsletter is something that founders will adapt easily as opposed to a community, or would it be the other way around?
My prediction with 2026 was, this was overall, because in 2025 a lot of newsletters were coming in because of FOMO. I got a lot of DMs on LinkedIn from different brands saying that we want to start a newsletter because they were looking at it as some quick hack to money making, something like that. So many people started newsletter that way in 2025, and any person who started with that intent, most of them will fail and stop newsletter in 2025. That is like the overall thing. uh, in India, communities will come faster than newsletter is what I feel, um, because the social nature here in India is much more than the social nature abroad, is what I understood. And the email adoption is much slower in India. So that's what I would predict. I would say that communities will become big faster uh, than the newsletters. And then if we are only talking about like the newsletter and community spectrum, I think after a while, newsletters will play a huge role, or one of the business ends of bottom of the funnel of newsletter will be a community for most people. And I also think that smaller communities will be a huge thing in the near future. A lot of AI content coming up, people are reading a lot about, like, everything outside is becoming overwhelming. Everything outside is becoming too social, so people will start appreciating smaller groups. People will start appreciating fewer groups, not only smaller groups, fewer groups. I think Indian communities will get to a point where you have to kind of get accepted to get into a community, like what GrowthX is doing right now. Like, GrowthX has an AI algorithm. You have to just drop your LinkedIn link, and based on your work experience, it decides if you're a right fit or not. Host will have the leverage of deciding who to allow and who not to allow, and the members of communities will also not join for the sake of it. They'll be also very selective, saying that, okay, I'm already part of too many communities, I don't want to join any more communities, kind of thing. They will be selective. I think that's what I feel. And in-person communities will be like crazy, that's for sure.
A lot of people were reaching out because they thought of newsletters as a making money avenue, right? Like a get rich quick
Yeah.
type thing. What do you think is a wrong reason to start a newsletter? And how can that cost them the relationship with an audience they might have already built?
I think the same thing, that like looking at it as like a quick rich theme. So whenever people open social media, they see things like, okay, this newsletter got acquired in 1.5 year. This newsletter got to X number of subscribers and made like Y number of revenue in like 6 months. When you look at these things, you get this FOMO that, okay, let me also do all. Like, people at some point almost felt that all I have to do is like get to some 5,000 subscribers, run some ads, and and I'm going to make a lot of money. That's what people thought at like mid 2024 to mid 2025. I think that is a very wrong reason. Newsletters are not something special. Okay, like all marketing channels, newsletters are also a marketing channel. Like all marketing channels, in newsletters also, you have to build a relationship with your audience. You have to build their trust. You have to show benefits of whatever your offer is. Could be a product, could be a service. You might be running an agency, you might be selling digital products, courses, SaaS tools, anything. Like all marketing channels, you have to just make them believe that whatever they are investing will transform them into something better. And the advantage with newsletters is you have higher attention. On social media, again, you get like a 30-second span, and they have a lot of options to just scroll you away. On newsletters, that attention increases to like 2.5 minutes or something, where if you're really good, you get this chance to build a trust and relationship with them. That is a nuance why newsletters with smaller subscribers make money. Nathan May is a really good example. Uh, he runs this agency called Feed Media, which is basically which basically grows others newsletters via meta ads. And his company got to 1 million ARR with a list less than 1,000 subscribers. Now on any other social media platform, it wouldn't be possible. Like with 1,000 followers, it would be very difficult if you're not doing any other marketing activity. But on newsletters, keeping newsletter as the sole channel, you could do that if your list quality is really high. And if you're thinking like this is like a really exceptional case, in my own case, in the newsletter that I currently pause cognition, I think with a list less than 1,000, the overall revenue is somewhere between 3,500 to $4,000. It is possible to make money via newsletters faster because you have more or a better opportunity to build a relationship that would convert into a sale. So yeah, that would be the wrong reason to start thinking anything as a quick hack.
So now you explained all the wrong reasons for founders to start a newsletter. Can
Yeah.
we shift the lens to what are all the red flags a founder should look out for when hiring someone who is an expert in newsletters? Can you also kind of like talk about uh, who not to hire in terms of you can't ask a copywriter to be a newsletter expert?
Well, let's start with the green flags first. Someone who understands sales, someone who understands email copy, someone who understands funnels, someone who understands like basics of email operations like segmenting and personalizing based on segments, personalizing based on like different interests of your audience and stuff like that. These are like huge green flags. Someone who could research well, create good content, which is not easily available on social media, which is much more nuanced than social media, which is in a way opinionated content is becoming a big thing now because informational content can be done with AI. So what you stand for, what you don't stand for, if their values align with you or not, or align with the brand or not. These are the green flags, I would say. In terms of red flags, I would say anyone who overpromises results and anyone who doesn't understand the entire workflow around newsletter system. I manage newsletters. Someone else in the team make sure that the social media is consistently growing. Let's say this is a creator on Instagram who wants to start their newsletter. I take care of newsletter. Their Instagram team takes care of Instagram growth, and we both work together in creating a funnel that brings this rented audience on Instagram to convert into owned audience on the newsletter. So for me, I don't need to be a social media expert, but I need to understand the basics of social media, like what's working in social media, how does social media teams work, like what is preferable for them, what is okay, what is not okay. And same with the bottom of the funnel also. Like some people have a SaaS, some people have like business product, something, right? Anyone who understands like a bit of a expert in newsletters, but a bit of generalist in everything that's around it would be a good fit for the founder. And in terms of over promising results, uh, I would say anyone who takes exceptions as examples could be a red flag. So if you want to create a newsletter in a productivity space, and if this newsletter expert comes to you and says that you look at Ali Abdal, he has like over 200,000 subscribers, and every email he sends, he makes like let's say $10,000 every email that he sends. If someone says to you this, it is a good goal to keep. I'm not like saying like you shouldn't be that ambitious, uh, but that is an exception. Like show me 10 other people in the productivity space like as successful as like Ali Abdal. So you have to tell me the average baseline of like what's possible. So if someone would come to me, I would say that I'm not going to promise you like 100K, 200K, 300K subs. I'm not going to promise you this like massive number of revenue via newsletter. But what I can promise you is if we do the newsletter right, if we crack newsletter game for this business, I can promise you that within a certain period of time, newsletters will be contributing to your top three revenue streams. Okay, so that is how I would approach. That is how you can put your trust in, because of this advantage of building trust. Uh, the possibilities of generating revenue via email via your newsletter increases.
In, I think, one sentence or in a couple of points, where do you see the future of community in India?
Smaller communities will thrive, in person communities will thrive, communities that you earn your place in will thrive. I think the day is not far away where you have to like earn your place in the community, like somewhat like a fight club, where like you can't just get in. You have to have like a very strong referral. You have to have like a very strong sense of the vibe of the community. Somewhat building cults kind of communities will be really great. And I think smaller communities with 100 people and like 30, 40 active people will make more revenue than will have great vibe than the communities with like 3000 members, 4000 members. I think that is going to die down. I don't know. Like it depends on the industry. It depends on like how it is managed and how nuanced you get like with people, how deeper the connections are. People will be just present in a few groups, but they will be active in only like 3, 4 groups. I feel one of the things with future of the communities is they are going to be a mini social media platforms within themselves.
100%. Yeah. Okay, so thank you, Vikra, for this insightful conversation. And before we end, Vikra, let the people know what you've been working on and where they can find you.
You can find me on vikravardhan.com. It is like a super generalized website of everything that I do. So if you want to know what workouts I've been doing, what books I've been reading, what I'm doing currently in my life, what are the work projects I'm taking up. So it's like a mini life library of what I'm doing currently or what my previous work of, and it's a navigation website to wherever you want to go from there. So you can check me out on vikravardhan.com. But the thing I'm very excited for the next in the next 6 months is our community called the Modern Marketers, which is basically just a bunch of AI first marketers figuring out AI together, making their work easier with AI, making their work efficient and useful to their companies with AI. So I'm really excited for that. I'm building a newsletter around it. I'm building a community around it. Uh, so yeah, very excited. So if you're a marketer who is like 3, 4 years into marketing and just starting out with AI, or you know the basics and you want to level up, I think this is a good bunch of people who you would want to stay in touch with, who you'd want to share your workflows with, so we can all learn from each other. So yeah, that's the fun thing in the next 6 months.
Okay. And that's a wrap on this episode.